Hello everyone, it's your casual gamer Meep here and welcome back to the channel. Up next in the top 5 build series is the Pig by request of Cloaked, and because the Saw Tome was recently open and features challenges relating to both the Pig and her counterpart Detective Tap. These builds are designed to take advantage of their various add-ons and will vary based on fun, effectiveness, and overall lore. If you enjoy the video, consider leaving a like as it helps promote the video through YouTube, and consider subscribing for more content. Now, on to the builds. This first build takes advantage of the Pig's highly unusual add-on, the Videotape, that gives them so much pressure at the beginning of the game, essentially creating an early game collapse for the survivors. The Videotape add-on causes survivors to spawn into the trial with a reverse bear trap already on their head at the cost of using up all of her trap inventory, unless you use another add-on to have more than the 4 reverse bear traps. We're not going to be using an add-on that increases her bear traps, but rather we're going to be using the rule set number 2, which has the effect of hiding the box's aura from survivors until the reverse bear traps are active via a generator being powered. This essentially tilts the beginning of the game significantly in your favor as the Pig, because survivors will either waste time running around the map in the beginning to find their boxes to search for their keys, or they're going to be hopping on generators to activate everyone's head trap in order to find the boxes. Either scenario is going to be a good one for you. The perks also play into the early game class because they either are used up in the beginning, or the potential to be used up early in the game. The perks are Lethal Pursuer, Hex Haunted Grounds, Hex Undying, and Hex Retribution. Lethal Pursuer allows you to see the survivors' auras for up to 9 seconds at the start of the trial, immediately allowing you to see where everyone is so you don't have to waste time looking for them. Hex Haunted Grounds turns 2 dual totems into Hex totems, and when a survivor goes to cleanse one of the totems, all survivors will suffer from the exposed status effect for up to 60 seconds. Hex Undying reveals survivors' aura when they're within 4 meters of a dual totem, but for this build it has the effect of whenever a survivor breaks a Hex totem, Undying will always be the first one broken. When combined with Hex Haunted Grounds though, in some cases which I really cannot explain, it will also activate the effects of Hex Haunted Grounds, which exposes everyone. When this happens, because Undying always breaks first, and there's still 2 Hex Totems for Haunted Grounds, if survivors aren't careful, they will actually reactivate Hex Haunted Grounds for a second time, which can be a very powerful effect. As for Hex Retribution, it makes survivors suffer from the Oblivious status effect whenever they touch a totem for up to 45 seconds, and it only starts counting down after they either let go of the totem, or after they finish cleansing it. For this build, however, it's its other effect, which is important, because anytime a Hex totem is broken, all survivors' auras are revealed to you for up to 15 seconds. Because this effect also works on any Hex totem, Undying will always be broken first, so essentially you're getting free aura reading with Hex Retribution. And if they cleanse Hex Haunted Grounds next, seeing everyone when they're insta-down is actually a really strong effect. The downside of this build, however, is if you fail to capitalize on the perks and add-ons at the start of the trial, then you're essentially a powerless, add-onless M1 killer, so best of luck when using this build. This next build aims at making the Pig unstoppable in chase while passively slowing down the survivors through normal gameplay. For this build, you'll need the Workshop Grease and the Combat Strap add-ons. Even though the add-ons are of lower rarity, they do add nice quality improvements to the Pig. Workshop Grease increases the rate at which you charge up your ambush attack and lets you recover faster from missed attacks. And the Combat Straps let you crouch and uncrouch faster, which, combined with faster ambush charge, lets you be more aggressive with your special attack. You're more or less encouraged to play aggressively with this build because your perks are Save the Best for Last, Brutal Strength, Enduring, and Scourge Hook Gift of Pain. Save the Best for Last gives you a stackable cooldown on your successful basic attacks each time you hit a survivor who's not the Obsession. Each stackable hit gives you a 5% reduction up to 40% max with 8 stacks. With a shorter weapon cooldown animation, you can save time in chase because the survivors make less distance on you, which allows you to catch up to them and ultimately end your chases faster. The thing about Save the Best for Last in particular is that with the Pig, is that her ambush attacks against the Obsession don't actually lose you stacks at all because it's considered a special attack. Combined with the add-ons of essentially allowing you to ambush with ease, means you can keep your stacks built up by dealing with the Obsession with your ambush attack. Brutal Strength, meanwhile, lets you kick pallets, breakable walls, and generators up to 20% faster, which is a noticeable difference and can allow you to catch up to the survivor faster than you would otherwise without this perk. And in case you're charging up an ambush attack and the survivor is camping the pallet, if they manage to pallet stun you, Enduring reduces it by up to 50%. If it's a safe pallet in particular, this perk pairs well with Brutal Strength, helping you to reduce the effectiveness of the survivor's resources. And as for Scourge Hook Gift of Pain, it's another way of passively slowing down the game. If you hook a survivor on one of the 4 Scourge Hooks that spawn into the trial, they will suffer from the Mangle status effect, which makes them take longer to heal. And if they heal back to healthy, they gain a 9% action debuff to repairing generators. This is sort of like a multiple step slowdown for the survivors who are unlucky to be hooked on a Scourge Hook, because not only will they have a trap on their head if you place one on them, but they'll actually have to waste more time healing due to the Mangle status effect, and if they do heal, they'll end up doing generators slower than they would normally. With this build, you want to play the game as normally as possible by going for different survivors and trying to avoid camping and tunneling because you want to gain the full benefits of the perks and add-ons. Build number 3 takes advantage of the Pig's built-in stealth mechanic through her crouch. With her add-on Amanda's Letter, while crouched, she can see the aura of survivors within 16 meters of her location, but at the cost of having 2 reverse bear traps removed during the trial. I call this the sneak and peek build because you'll be crouched a lot in the game to find survivors through your aura reading capabilities. To help you get around the map faster, you can use John's medical file, which increases your movement speed by 6% while crouched. At base kit, the pig's crouch movement speed is 90% of a running survivor's, which is 100%. Moving at 96% movement speed means you'll almost be as fast as that survivor. The perks for this build are Whispers, Hex Plaything, Bamboozle, and Thrilling Tremors. Whispers activates when you come within 32 meters of a survivor. When the perk icon lights up, you should start crouching and making your way in that direction so you can find their exact location using the aura reading thanks to Amanda's letter. This perk is mainly used for its early game tracking to find the first survivor and last survivor if it comes down to a race to the hatch scenario. Hex Plaything is to add an extra level of stealth to the pig because whenever we hook someone for the first time, a Dole totem is changed into a Hex totem and is linked to that particular hook survivor. For the first 90 seconds, only that survivor can cleanse that totem, and until that totem is blessed, they will suffer from the Oblivious status effect until then. This also adds a secondary objective to the survivor, and even a third one if you decide to put a reverse bear trap on them. In this build, Bamboozle is a bit of a surprise factor, because whenever we go to vault a window, we do it up to 15% faster, and it gets blocked by the entity for up to 16 seconds. If we're crouched in an area and Whispers goes to activate, we can preemptively block off a window near that survivor's location. It's also a decent chase perk in some situations, such as dealing with the Killer Shack and Long Wall Jungle Gyms. Thrilling Tremors is the middle of the game tracking method because when we go to pick up a survivor, all generators not being worked on are blocked by the entity for up to 16 seconds, and if their ores are revealed to us in white. All generators that are red during that time means that a survivor's on them, so after hooking a survivor, we can go crouch over there and find their location using Amanda's letter. This next build is about the man behind the pig, John Kramer. John Kramer is one of the most interesting inspirations behind a killer's profile. He was a successful civil engineer, and he had big dreams from starting his own family with his wife Jill Tuck, and their soon-to-be newborn Gideon, to renovating slums around the city that they lived in. John's engineering prowess can best be summarized with the perk Gearhead, which has the effect that whenever a survivor goes to lose a health state, the perk activates. Any survivor that hits a great skill check while repairing a generator will have their aura revealed for up to 10 seconds. John's ideal life, though, was not meant to be through the intervention of corrupt individuals. It's revealed in Saw 6 through a flashback that a then druggie Amanda Young convinced her fellow junkie Cecil to steal from Jill's clinic when she was both pregnant and alone, locking up the place for the night. Jill reluctantly let Cecil into the clinic because he lied to her of his intentions and held her up at knife point before running into the loop for drugs. As Cecil exits the clinic door where Jill was waiting, he unknowingly slams one of the doors into Jill's pregnant stomach, which ultimately leads to her having a miscarriage. The loss of Gideon and the grief imposed on them would lead John and Jill to ultimately to divorce, and John withdrawing further from normal society. The second perk is Corrupt Intervention. At the start of the trial, the 3 furthest generators from your spawn location are blocked by the entity for up to 120 seconds. What finally caused John to snap was the news during a medical examination from Dr. Lawrence Gordon, one of the main protagonists from the first film, that his body had been corrupted with cancer, and that he had an inoperable brain tumor. At this point, John knew his life was bound for death, and he tried to commit suicide by driving his car off a cliff. Deathbound is the next perk. Whenever a survivor is healed by another survivor and you're more than 32 meters away from them, the healer will scream and reveal their location. For the next 60 seconds, if the healer leaves the person they healed by more than 8 meters, they will suffer from the Oblivious status effect for the duration of Deathbound. Little did John know his suicide would ultimately fail, and from there he would make other people appreciate their lives by engineering tests for them. His tests would involve individuals who essentially were corrupted in life, who had committed crimes or were throwing their lives away due to their own vices, such as drugs. Through his various tests, John would become later known as the Jigsaw Killer, or Jigsaw for short, because if the subject failed their test, he would remove a piece of flesh from them in the shape of a jigsaw puzzle piece, as they were missing the will to do whatever it took to stay alive. In Saw 3, after being tested, one of his subjects named Jeff would end John's life for the trauma he had put him through his own test. Even after John's death as a dead man, he would have far-reaching effects as the Jigsaw games would continue through his various apprentices and accomplices later in films. The last perk of the build is Dead Man Switch. After hooking any survivor, the perk activates for 45 seconds. If any survivor repairing a generator lets go of it before it's completed, the generator will be blocked by the entity for the remaining duration of Dead Man Switch. As for the pig's lore-based build, Amanda Young, who portrays the pig in Dead by Daylight, was a former drug addict, as was briefly touched upon in the previous build. In the first film, she's revealed to be the first and only survivor of one of Jigsaw's tests, and praises being tested by Jigsaw as it made her cherish her life. As the survivor of his test, John Kramer would enlist Amanda as one of his apprentices. Amanda effectively made her choice. Make Your Choice activates when a survivor is unhooked when you're more than 32 meters away from the hook. The unhooker screams and suffers from the exposed status effect for up to 60 seconds. Being an apprentice to John Kramer, Amanda becomes devoted to him as he has become both a mentor to her and a father-like figure to her. She helps John in setting up tests, including building traps and kidnapping test subjects. Dark Devotion best describes their relationship. Whenever you hit the obsession, Dark Devotion activates by making you undetectable for up to 30 seconds. While affected by Dark Devotion, the obsession emits a fake 32-meter wide tear radius for the duration of Dark Devotion. It's in the third Saw film that we see a change in Amanda's philosophy when it comes to testing subjects. Amanda begins tinkering with her tests, and in 2 cases we see that they were designed to be inescapable. This breaks with John's philosophy of giving his test subjects a chance to live, and ultimately redeem themselves by succeeding and surviving. Tinkers is the next perk. Whenever a generator reaches 75% completion, you become undetectable for up to 16 seconds. With Amanda's change in philosophy in the third film, we see John test her once again to see if she can save a life through the kidnapping of Dr. Lin. Dr. Lin is kidnapped to keep John alive until another test subject completes their test, and to ensure her cooperation, Amanda places a shotgun collar around her neck to guarantee her compliance. Later on in the film, Amanda finds letters from Detective Hoffman blackmailing her to kill Lin, or John will find out that she was involved in the death of John and Jill's unborn son Gideon. Combined with this revelation, and with John and Dr. Lin's growing doctor-patient relationship as she cares for him, Amanda becomes increasingly emotional. John warns Amanda to heed his warning and free her from the shotgun collar, but she refuses and becomes hysterical, ultimately shooting Dr. Lin right as their other test subject walks in on them. Unknown to Amanda, the other test subject was Dr. Lin's husband Jeff, who shoots Amanda in the neck in retaliation for his wife. What led to her downfall was her emotions, and this is best summed up in the perk Hysteria. Hysteria activates when you hit a healthy survivor. All injured survivors will suffer from the ability status effect for up to 30 seconds. As Amanda is bleeding out from the bullet wound, John explains that she failed her test in keeping a test subject alive by shooting Dr. Lin. As the light in her eyes fade, dying next to John, that is when she, as the pig, arrived in the realm of the fog that is Dead by Daylight. Overall, the pig is a very versatile killer with built-in stealth and slowdown in her power, and accurately represents her film franchise counterpart. Before I end the video, I would like to point out that the pig is the only female killer that has a base kit built in alternative means of killing survivors, which is through her reverse bear traps. You can argue that Michael Myers was the first one with his tombstone add-ons, but I'm talking about base kit without add-ons. It wouldn't be until the 4th year anniversary with the Silent Hill chapter's release of Pyramid Head for such a powerful tool to be given to another killer. But let's not forget that she, Amanda Young, the pig, was the first. And with that being said, we've come to the end of the video. If you made it this far into the video, do you let survivors boop your snoop when you play the pig? Let me know down below in the comments section. I'm Equaliston3, and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.